Welcome to Photomikes Garage, and welcome to my nightmare. It's not really a nightmare. It's a Porsche 1979 911 SC. This is not an endorsement. I'm not paid to advertise for Red Bull, but I need a Red Bull in order to start working. But I need some energy because I got a lot of work to do on the Porsche today. These are the chain tensioners on my Porsche 1979 SC. These have a spring and oil inside that puts pressure on the lever, which pushes down and keeps the chain under tension. That makes sure that it does not skip on the sprockets and cause huge amount of damage to the engine. These are known to fail. Mine seem to be fine, but what is often recommended is that you put on Carrera oil chain tensioners, which will make sure there's always an oil feed, like there's an oil line that will come through the cover and make sure there's always oil pressure inside here, so no matter what, they cannot collapse all the way. To install that kit is around $1,000, and I don't have $1,000 right now, so instead I'm going to put on spacers. This is what comes in the spacer kit. This is going to go around the upper shaft. This spacer will help you position it in the proper position, tighten down these bolts, and it will stay fastened tightly on the shaft. Now, if the hydraulic chain tensioner fails and the piston goes down, this will be a stop. It'll stop it from going all the way down. Therefore, there will still be tension on the chain. Therefore, it will not skip a tooth and cause irreparable damage to your car. What is the negative of doing this? This costs me $20 as opposed to $1,000 for the proper Carrera hydraulic chain tensioners. With this, your chain tensioners could fail and you wouldn't know it. This would keep the chain from getting completely loose, causing huge damage, but meanwhile, it'll be wearing by being knocked on at the top of the chain tensioner to the point of perhaps failure. So what they recommend is that every 5,000 miles or 10,000 miles, I forget what it is, you check this to see that it's still okay. So obviously the hydraulic proper Carrera chain tensioners are the way to go, but temporarily and for now I'm putting these on for peace of mind. My chain tensioners can't say that, are good as far as I know, and therefore this is just going to give me peace of mind for now until I can put on the Carrera chain tensioners. So it's gonna go on right up here around the shaft and prevent this piston from going fully down in case there's failure inside. Okay, let's see if I can get this put on. Bit of a windy day today. Actually, this is called chain tensioner safety locks, and they recommend that you check them after installation every 12,000 miles to make sure that your tensioners are still working properly. So now I'm going to put it on. Okay, the first step in putting on the chain tensioner locks up here is to make sure your piston is fully extended as much as possible. In order to do that, you will push up on the lever like so, as hard as you can. And that will extend it as high as possible. And then after that, they recommend that you turn the motor about 360 degrees to make sure that you've got the correct position of the shaft, and then you can install the collars. In order to turn the motor over for the chain tensioners, or to get top dead center, to figure out where that is by where the rotor should point, which is, let's see, the rotor should point right to this mark right here. Oh yes, you can see the mark right there. The rotor should point to there, and as you can see, there's a mark right here. That should line up with a mark on the crankshaft pulley. This is not the correct mark for the crankshaft pulley. I'll show that to you. And in order to show that to you, I have to rotate the crank pulley. In order to do that, I need this special tool. I got this from Pelican Parts, $35. Pretty well necessary. It fits into here and allows you to rotate the motor. Now, it's important to rotate the motor in the proper direction. That'd be the direction that it normally does rotate in, which is clockwise. Right? Yeah. Clockwise from looking at the motor from the back, of course. So I'm going to rotate. Now, in order to do that, you got to make sure the car's out of gear, and you got to make sure that you have enough tension on the belt in order to rotate it. But if you do it properly, it will rotate. Okay, I've rotated the motor, the crankshaft pulley, and as you can see, the rotor is facing the notch in the distributor housing, and I don't know if you can see it, but down here there's a little Z1. That means top dead center. That means number one cylinder has fired and both valves are closed. So we'll just move this a little bit, and that's exactly where it should be, right there. As you can see, the collar lock is in place. Now I just have to tighten up these bolts with the supplied Allen wrench, and then put the a spacer that they provide that will allow you to set it up at the proper height, and then do the final tightening, and that's it. Okay, I've tightened the collar, but it's still loose on the shaft, and I have the gauge metal. This is how high they want this collar to be attached to the shaft, so that there's a little bit of room in case the shaft collapses. It'll go down a little bit, but not all the way. So now I just got to tighten these bolts up, remove this, and we're done. So these Allen head bolts have been tightened down to 25 foot-pounds with the gauge in place, which gives it the proper gap. Gauge removed, these are done. Just got to do this side, clean the covers, and put them back on. Okay, the second collar lock is on. Tightened up 25 foot-pounds on the Allen bolts, and I removed the gauge, and that is the proper gap for safety. So just clean the valve, the covers, and reinstall, and I can have peace of mind, at least for now. I'll have to check these again, the condition of these, in about 12,000 miles. Alright. I'm going to clean the cam covers. Use a wire wheel on this and all new gaskets, and we should be good to go. Okay, these are now, cam covers are now relatively clean. Ready to go back on. Well, the driver's side cam chain cover is all cleaned up and installed. Looking a lot better than before. Okay, passenger side cam chain cover is installed. Looking good. Now, the effort to take the old gasket off, clean all the mating surfaces, put on a new gasket, and that's taken me hours of meticulously cleaning. It's not easy to do on your back here. So yeah, it sounds like one sentence in the repair manual takes 2 or 3 hours to do.